9 signs you are chosen and marked by God. Have you ever wondered if you are chosen and set apart by God for something extraordinary? Life, with its mysteries, trials, and blessings, sometimes leaves us questioning if there's a divine purpose for us. Am I seen by God? Called by Him for a mission uniquely mine? If you felt this yearning, know that you are not alone. The Bible reveals signs that distinctly mark when someone is chosen by God. To be marked by God is to carry His signature in your heart and His purpose in your life. Throughout history, God has marked His chosen people, Moses, Esther, David, Mary, and many more. These signs are not confined to the past, they live in the faithful today. Together, let's dive into these 9 signs. Drawing from Scripture, real-life experiences, and God's promises to uncover whether you too bear the mark of divine purpose. Sign number 1. A profound inner calling. Those marked by God often experience an intense sense of calling or purpose from an early age. This inner conviction drives them forward, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Jeremiah experienced this calling when God told him, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Jeremiah 1 verse 5. God's chosen ones often feel an unmistakable calling that grows over time, becoming a guiding force shaping their decisions and ultimately, their destiny. Consider David, a young shepherd boy with little power or prestige. Even in his humble beginnings, God had marked him with extraordinary purpose. David's journey wasn't easy, and the path wasn't always clear. But he was called to lead long before he ever wore the crown. Many of us feel this same whisper in our hearts, that we were made for something more. This feeling isn't just hope. It's the first sign that God is preparing us for a divine mission. Sign number 2. Facing extraordinary challenges. One often overlooked sign of being marked by God is facing challenges that seem insurmountable. James 1 verses 2 to 4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Those chosen by God often find themselves walking through fire, being refined, shaped, and prepared for what lies ahead. Think of Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery. Despite the injustice, Joseph's trials were part of God's plan. Through his perseverance, God elevated him to a position of power where he could save nations. For those facing hardship after hardship, this is a reminder. God often uses our most challenging moments to prepare us for something greater. These trials are not punishment, but the refining fire that strengthens and equips those marked by Him. Sign number 3. A sense of not belonging. Those marked by God often feel they don't quite fit in with the world around them. Romans 12 verse 2 tells us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This call to be different resonates deeply with God's chosen, who often find that worldly pursuits, pleasures, and values don't align with their spirit. Consider Esther, who, though she became queen, remained distinct from the culture around her. Her loyalty to God and her people set her apart, ultimately fulfilling her destiny of saving her people. Similarly, those marked by God may feel they don't belong in worldly places, as their true calling is not of this world. This sense of holy separation is a clear sign that they are marked for something beyond earthly values. If you rejoice in God's kingship, like this video, subscribe, and comment, "The Lord reigns forever," below. Sign number 4, strong spiritual discernment. Those chosen by God are often gifted with a unique sensitivity to spiritual matters. This discernment helps them perceive truths, see through deception, and understand God's will more clearly. In 1 Corinthians 2 verse 14, Paul writes, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God but considers them foolishness. But those marked by God have spiritual wisdom and insight, which guides and protects them on their divine mission." Take Daniel, for example. He had an extraordinary ability to interpret dreams and visions. This discernment was not a result of his intelligence but of his connection with God. Those marked by God often experience this type of discernment, sensing God's voice, feeling His promptings, being positioned for influence. God often places His chosen ones in situations where they can influence and lead, even if they don't feel prepared for it. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 encourages us. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Consider Moses, raised in Pharaoh's palace. Unknowingly, he was positioned for a mission he would discover only later. Those marked by God may find themselves in strategic positions, feeling inexplicably drawn to roles of influence or authority. This is not for their own gain, but because God has a larger plan that requires them to lead, impact, and guide others toward Him. Sign number 6, a life that inspires others. Those marked by God often live lives that inspire others. Matthew 5 verse 16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." The lives of God's chosen ones often shine as a testimony of His grace, mercy, and transformation. Take the Apostle Paul, whose radical transformation from persecutor to preacher inspired countless others to believe in God's redemptive power. Similarly, those marked by God may feel unworthy, yet their lives shine as a testimony of what God can do. People are drawn to their faith, strength, and resilience, inspired by the evidence of God's work within them. Sign number 7. Deep compassion and a heart for others. Those chosen by God often exhibit a deep, undeniable compassion for others. This empathy drives them to reach out and serve others. Jesus said in Matthew 25 verse 40, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." This compassion is more than a feeling, it's a call to act. Consider Ruth, who chose to stay with her widowed mother-in-law, Naomi, even when she had every reason to return to her homeland. Ruth's compassion ultimately led her into the lineage of Jesus. Those marked by God often feel the same pull toward empathy and service, seeing the struggles of others as personal calls to act. Sign number 8. A strong sense of identity and purpose in God. A profound sign of being marked by God is a firm, unshakable sense of identity and purpose. Those marked by God know their worth is not determined by worldly standards but by God's love. Psalm 139 verse 14 says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." God's design for them gives them purpose and direction. Think of Esther, who embraced her calling with courage when the time came to stand up for her people. Even in the complexities of the Persian palace, she held fast to her identity. Those marked by God live with a purpose. Understanding that they are more than part of this world, they are vessels of God's love, mercy, and truth. Sign number 9. A deep and unbreakable faith. One of the most unmistakable signs of being marked by God is a faith that remains steadfast, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This faith is not blind. It's tested and refined by trials. Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Consider Job, who, despite losing everything, proclaimed, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." Job 13 verse 15. Those marked by God possess this same resilient faith, a faith that endures heartbreak, loss, and uncertainty. Believing in God's purpose and love, even when life seems void of answers. This faith isn't without struggle or doubt, but it remains unshaken. Conclusion. If you find yourself resonating with these signs, know that it's no accident. God has a purpose for your life, and these signs are glimpses of His divine hand shaping your journey. To be marked by God is to live with purpose, resilience, compassion, and faith. It's to walk a path that may not always be easy, but is eternally fulfilling. Filled with the assurance that you are chosen, loved, and called for something extraordinary. In moments of doubt, remember that God never leaves His chosen alone. He equips, guides, and sustains. Just as He was with Moses, Esther, David, Ruth, and Paul, He is with you. Embrace these signs, nurture your faith, and walk boldly, knowing you are marked by God. As you live out this calling, may your life reflect His glory, bringing hope, love, and light to a world in need.